If you go to Palestine, have you killed? Because in their belief, the Talmud, the Mahomet Talmud,
the Chinese decide. However, oppressive in the way that Italian fascism was, the German Nazism was.
I'm opposed to Italian. So wait, so to clarify,
what China is doing in its re-education of Uyghur populations, the Spanish and Italian fascism and oppression of
it's far worse than Shenzhen. No, I'm getting slandered. I'm getting slandered.
I was trying to understand what he's saying. He was referring to your phrase of Russia being most nervous. USSR being most nervous.
Yeah, it's because he's politically aligned with the USSR, and it's really unhelpful if someone points out that Stalin ordered the murder and the starvation of 12 million Kulaks, millions of Ukrainians.
There are reasons for the famine in Ukraine.
He doesn't understand.
The numbers are radically inflated.
My tiny little pea brain. I give you my brain.
I am anti-Stalinist, I'm a Trotskyist, so don't you tell me about Stalin. I know more about Stalin than you'll ever know.
Why are you an
I know that
anti-Stalinist?
when I was in the Communist Party when I was 17 in this country, I was purged by the Stalinist clique with the hierarchy of the Communist Party. They purged hundreds and hundreds of us in the branches. 1960, when we were purged by the Stalinists. But I'm no friend of Stalin. However, you do not slander the Communist Party and the Bolsheviks who fought the revolution by stating
Bolsheviks, I'm big fan. I like the Bolsheviks.
Accusing me of not caring. You're the person that doesn't care because you don't
He was one of the most murderous people in all history.
During the period of the Fifth Column and during the period of the rise of fascism in the 30s, it's very important that we contextualise.
We're just saying 2.5 million communists were just...
They tried to murder them. No, they're not indigenous. I'm sorry.
Wait. What do you mean they're not indigenous? What do you mean by that? What do you mean they're not indigenous? So they didn't live there before you came?
Are you going to allow me to return, or are you going to do that? Or are you going to bust in everything?
Okay. Do you know there are atheist Jews?
Hang on, let's go back to 1880.
Some Jews don't believe in God.
No, you do. It's very important.
Doesn't mean you believe in God. Some are going back there because that is where the Jews originally came from 2,000 years ago.
You won't allow me to speak. You won't allow me to speak. That's where they interrupted me 3 times. Some demand I don't use anything.
All right. I was specifically talking about the moment when UN gave you permission to that land. That land that you then went upon, were there people living there?
There were Jewish people living there.
And were there Muslims living there? Were there Palestinian people living there?
There were Arabs there. They didn't call themselves Palestinians.
Or was there houses and people living there? Yes or no?
You're not going to allow me to answer, so I'm not going to answer. No, every time I've answered, I've now 5 times I've tried to answer and you butt in. And there we go again. There we go again. No, you will not allow me to speak.
You're accusing me of something, and I'm clarifying what you're accusing me of. I'm specifically asking you.
Some people have been misled.
When you decide to listen to an argument, I'm not listening. I know it's the
text. You're not listening to my question. I'm saying, when you came upon the land, when the UN gave you the land, were there people living there?
Europe didn't
Not the UN.
Zionism.
Were there people living there? Yes or no?
The UN partitioned the land.
Okay.
No, it wasn't.
Because there were 2 groups of people living there. They were born there. They were born there and they were living there. So it was partitioned.
So the land, all the land that you've gone into right now was partitioned out where there's no one else living there, right? Is that what you're saying? Or there were people living there to kick them out?
Either we do it this one way. Either you speak and I speak. But if you carry on interrupting me to try and push a new one on, I know that tactic. It's good when you play different. Yeah, you do. Every time I've spoken, you interrupt to try and stop me speaking.
You do the same thing to me though.
Because of the Israeli law. Because of the Israeli law.
Right, there was a mixed population there. Before 1919, the whole area was owned by Turkey.
The Israeli government.
All part of the Turkish Empire. Lots of different people lived in different countries all over. They were mixed together. Large numbers of Jews were living there in the 20s. They'd moved there legally under Turkish law. They'd formed farms, they'd built homes. During the Mandate, when it was owned by the League of Nations, the UN before, Jewish settlements were continually attacked by Arab groups who wanted to drive them out. Then there was the Second World War, where Arab groups were allied with the Nazis against them. So you have two communities who live amongst each other, who are fighting with each other. The UN then said, well, first of all, in 1924, the most of Palestine, 2/3 of Palestine was broken off, and that was given its own country called Jordan. That was 2/3, that was 1924. So you then have the rest of the area. So the UN looked at it and drew up a partition plan, which said, okay, we're going to look to see where the Muslims live, and we're going to give that away, and they're going to make that one independent state. Then we're going to see where most of the Jews live, and yeah, it's not pure. Some people are going to have to move one way or the other. So that's what the US happened. Then as soon as that happened, 5 Arab armies said, no, we're not accepting that. They invaded it and said, we're going to drive every Jew out. So that's what happened. So the Jews won that. And then as soon as the Jews got a very small state, they said, okay, we're happy with that. We'll keep that state. And 4 different times they invaded again and again and again to try and destroy Israel every time they failed. So Israel ended up with all of Sinai. It gave that back to Egypt so that it would have peace with Egypt. Now Israel has no problem with Egypt.
And then he started talking to him. Do you want my answer? You asked me a question. Do you want the answer?
That where the partition was.
No, you asked me a question and then you started speaking in.
I don't know.
Okay, so you asked me a question.
Some Israelis
I'll
that
answer.
building
In my Torah, it specifically says you return to Zion
over that, and then the Israeli government itself is telling them not to do it, but they're still doing it. The Israeli government isn't stopping them.
Number one, okay, I think what you're talking about is the West Bank. Remember, there were 2 settlements. There were settlements in Gaza and settlements in the West Bank. Israel took all the settlements out of Gaza and said, you've got self-rule. Do it yourself. Unfortunately, the moment they got given self-rule, they started building rockets and sending them into Israel. Israel still hasn't got in there, but they line it and try and stop anybody breaking out. Now, you've got the West Bank area. The West Bank was taken by Israel in 1967 after Arab armies from Jordan invaded. It was part of Jordan. They took it back. Now, I don't agree. I actually think that the vast majority of the West Bank should be turned into a Palestinian state. That's what I believe.
That's cool. That's the only thing I have. I don't mind if I don't have. Because look, at the end of the day, everyone's human. They need a place to live, right?
But that's what you believe in. But that must be the end. When the line is finally drawn, and they say that's your state, they can't say next year. No, we're going to fight for more.
To it, if they agree to it, then they have to buy back. That's how they work.
That's what we want.
I'll tell you,
we want.
That's good, but do you believe that both sides are creating friction? Because it's not one side. I'm not saying that it's only the Israelis that cause the problem, but don't you think that sometimes you use excessive force to react
to what the Palestinians do? In some cases, don't you think that's true? Listen,
but if you just look at the casualty statistics, 90% of it's Palestinians and maybe 10%.
The League of Nations exists.
Yeah, but that's not our fault. Sorry, if you break into my house and threaten my kids, okay, I'm still going to shoot you dead. I don't care, and you can't say,
no, that's fine. No, of course. If someone does that, I'm going to and try to kill you. Fine. If there's a soldier, a wild soldier with a gun and trying to shoot you,
I am talking about the mandate, and you are avoiding the mandate. You are avoiding the mandate. This is the League of Nations mandate.
I'm not saying every soldier does that.
Let me ask you a question, number one.
Excessive force that's been used against an innocent person. Do you believe that? Is that true or not?
It's written down.
Number one, would you allow your children to go and throw rocks at armed soldiers?
That's not the point. Maybe their mom, they don't have a mom and dad because they died somehow. No, but you don't know that there are situations where that's true, but the point is...
They get them, they encourage them to do it.
Look, but you cannot justify killing of a children. Unless he has an AK pointed at you and he's shooting you, how can you justify killing a child? You can't. If I've got a rock and you've got a gun, and I'm a child.
You can kill me. How old? When you say child,
I'm talking about one that's under 12 years old.
No under 12-year-old gets shot. That's not true. No, it's up to you. Under 12s aren't shot dead by Israeli soldiers.
Arabs attacked Israel. Started from perfection.